Hello, everyone, and warm welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast. We've missed you, which must mean that you have missed us, because we didn't get to pod for you last week because the weather was wreaking havoc. But we are back. We're fully charged, and we are ready to go with Newbury rearranged for Sunday, which is where we'll start, which is great, and an excellent card on Saturday as well. Adele Mulrennan joins me, Declan Ricks joins me, and Steve Jones joins me. That's a team, everyone. How are we, Adele? You all good?
All good. Very good. Glad to be back.
Very much so. Rixie, it's a pleasure to see your face again.
Don't lie to my face. If you're going to talk about me negatively, do it behind my back so I don't hear you.
Yeah, you're quite right. We're quite right. We should talk about you behind your back. Jonesy, isn't Rixie just an awful human being?
I'm with Rixie.
Really?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Right, it's good to have you amassed, everyone. As I say, we're going to get stuck into Sunday, but first of all, I want to tell you about the fact that we've been nominated again, which is great, in the Smart Betting Club Awards for the Best Betting Podcast 2021. Who won it in 2019? Oh, yeah, we did. And in 2020. So we've got to get the treble up. We've got to get the hat trick up. And now that we've added these guys to the crew, I mean, come on. So please vote. It's important. If you like our content, and we know we've done lots of feedback forms and things like that. So we know what you think. And if you've got positive thoughts, then please do vote for us in the Best Betting Podcast Awards, because it does mean a lot to us across all the three pods, and it'd be great to win it again. But we won't win it unless you vote. So that'd be lovely if you did. Thank you very much in advance. Right, I think we should get stuck into the racing. Incidentally, if you do want to vote, go to the Matchbook Twitter pages for the pinned tweets, and that is where you can do so. Let's get into the racing. That's the most important thing. So, Newbury rearranged. Nicky, he's at it. He's mixing it up. We've got the Denman Chase, but we know it doesn't feature Champ, and it's all mind-blown time. So, how do we see this as a shape of a race then? Clander's Oboe is just a touch of odds on, around about 1.91. Lost in Translation, we've got at 5.0. Kalashnikov is, and then we get stuck into the double figures. Adele, kick us off with this. Is this an up to scratch renewal of the Denman Chase for you?
Is it an up to scratch renewal? Not quite sure. I just think some of the horses, are just showing signs of a few chinks in their armours. We know it takes a top performer to win it. I'm not one for favourite backers. I always try and look for something for a bit of value. So I've been through the race so many times trying to oppose Clander's Oboe, but I'm going to stick with him. And 8 of the last 10 winners previously won a Grade 1 over fences. So we know it takes a top performer. I think you want to then be looking, for horses that are proven at the top level. He's a dual King George winner. I know he was a little bit disappointing in that last time out. Maybe Haydock took a little bit too much out of him. He did show a few flat spots, but he's had 8 weeks to get over that now. And if he puts up his best performance, surely he's the one to beat.
I always think is a horse that's best right-handed, but he does have very good form at Newbury, Rixie, Clander's Oboe.
Yeah, I'd agree, Tom. For me, I think he's always been a horse who's shown his best going the other way around. But look, he still can run to a decent level left-handed. He just tends to jump a little bit right sometimes, so going the other way helps. But yeah, look, I think this is a really tricky race because, if you're talking peak performances, Clander's Oboe and Lost in Translation are clear of this field, probably even under their penalties, which they've got to give away £6 away to some of the horses in here. But how can anyone back Lost in Translation on his form this season? Ran terribly on bad ground in the Betfair, and then he pulled up in the King George. Clander's Oboe then ran a cracker in the Betfair Chase behind Bristol de May on very heavy ground, and then was completely lifeless in the King George. I just think a lot of the time when we've seen Bristol de May win the Betfair Chase at Haydock, he's always done it in good times and on very heavy ground. And to be honest, I think that's finished him for the season a lot of the time, unless they really freshened him up. So while Clandezobo could easily win this, I just can't back him at that kind of price. So I'm happy to take on the two kind of class acts in the race, just because I think they've got, as Adele probably touched on there, they have got little chinks in their armour at the moment.
With Rixie, who do you want to take him on with?
Look, Sapage and Secret Investor only look the kind of two pace setters in the race, and Sapage has never really stayed this trip for me, and Secret Investor could get a bit of a freebie up in front. So just with the two horses getting weight, I think I'd rather have two win bets on Secret Investor and Kalashnikov at the prices than back Clandezobo at his kind of price. So I'm going to back the two of those. I think I was surprised actually looking at the going stick at Newbury, looking at the ground. I don't think the ground is going to be that soft this weekend, which is good, you know. And if it stays dry there for 2 days, we might have some decent ground to run on. And that's key to Secret Investor. Kalashnikov, I think, to be fair to him, goes on any ground. He's got to prove that he stays this trip. But look, he's by Calanisi out of an Old Vic mare, and I think he's definitely worth a crack at it at around a track like Newbury, which is the race is actually run sub 3 miles, and there's not going to be an end-to-end gallop by the look. So I'm going to take the two of those against the favourite.
Kalashnikov 7.0, Secret Investor 11.0. There is, of course, the option with Matchbook to lay Clandezobo 1.91, should you so wish. Stephen?
Yeah, no, I can't say I'm all that impressed with taking odds on Clandezobo. I think that's a very risky bet. He won this race a couple of years ago when it was run at Ascot, but he has got Newbury form. I concede that. But his optimum is around Kempton, obviously, where he's won the King George a couple of times. So that the very fact that he ran so badly in it, or well, perhaps he didn't run so badly, but the fact that he could only finish third this time to Frodon and waiting patiently. And although it didn't really pan out for him, I want to take him on at odds on. I'm willing to take a chance with Lost in Translation. I think he is a horse that hasn't fulfilled his potential. He looked top notch before last season's King George, where I don't think Kempton going right-handed around a sharp track like that is what he wants. So I'm willing to forgive him those 2 runs that he pulled up in the last 2 King Georges solely because of the track. His run at Haydock in the Betfair Chase could be disappointing, but we know that Colin Tizard's had awful problems this season, and they are just starting to run a little bit better down there. So if you think that he had a breathing operation before he finished third in the Gold Cup last year, only beaten a couple of lengths. Now that is clearly the best run of his last 4 starts. But he's had another breathing operation. If that has done the trick on a nice galloping track round Newbury, where he's going to get a nice lead off the light side, you should imagine that Secret Investor certainly will go from the front. And he should be able to creep into it. I'm not totally convinced, but the price is drawing me in a little bit, especially in relation to Clandezobo, who I definitely want to be against, despite him being the class act of his King George wins, showing that. But for me, odds on, no, thank you.
And Lost in Translation, he comes alive in the spring. Just Lost in Translation. I tell you, that's an awful impression. I won't do that again. So a mixture of views for the Denman Chase. Let's move on to the 3 o'clock at Newbury, which is the Game Spirit Chase. And this is fascinating because we've got 3.0 for Grenadine, So Royale 4.0, and then 4.5, Windot, Champ Anyone, Dolos 9.0, as is Fanny and Destrival, and Magic Saint is 12.0. Champ backers, anyone, kick us off. Anyone? Silence. Silence. I love it. Do you know? Rixie, I want you to kick us off just with a line on Champ running in this race and then who you fancy, if you could.
Well, look, Champ is running here. I think it's going to be a prep race for the Gold Cup, isn't it? I do like this, to be honest, because the big day is the Gold Cup. We know that, you know, he's named after AP McCoy's. We know he's, I think his dam was a half sister to Best Mate. You know, this everything about this horse kind of says Gold Cup. So I'm really interested to see how he gets on. I don't think this is his trip, to be honest, but I think all Nicky Henderson's going to want to do is just get a nice clear round into him, maybe sharpen up his jumping and just bring him along mentally and kind of physically, fitness-wise. So we'll see how he goes, but in terms of entertaining him for a bet, especially because he's going to carry a penalty as well, I'm definitely happy to look elsewhere here.
With who, Declan?
Well, I'm happy to go take on Grenadine as well, given he's carrying a penalty, to be honest. I do like Grenadine. I think he's going to enjoy getting back on a flat track and on decent ground because he's a beautiful mover and he's a good jumper. But just the penalty, I think, is going to make life tricky for him. I think this could be a potentially very messy race here. I don't see a whole lot of pace in the race. Magic Saint could potentially get a freebie, but I don't think he's like an out-and-out front runner either. So I don't know. So what price is Magic Saint?
12.0.
To be honest, in terms of potential bets, I had this between Fanny and Destraval, Magic Saint and So Royal. Fanny and Destraval comes here on the back of a career best, but I thought last time he had a very hard race in a race that was running a superb time by the Kim Bailey horse, First Flow. So Royal has had a busy start to the season, to be fair, and he fell last time out, which was kind of very uncharacteristic of him. So just because I don't think there's a lot between them at the weights, given the conditions of the race, and there's a chance he's going to get a freebie up in front, I'd maybe just have a few quid on the Nichols horse, Magic Saint.
Outside of the lot, his other horse heads the betting. He was my horse to follow this year. The chaser to follow was Grenadine, if that floats anyone's boat. Adele?
Rixie's already said that I don't think there's a lot of pace on. I think if I was a jockey riding in the race, I would try and go as slow as possible because Champ can be keen on his first run back, and I'd look for him. I'd go as slow as possible and have him really gassy and then look to quicken it up halfway out. I think you could easily get him beat just purely on tactics, and it could be a bit of a messy race. Again, I don't usually stick with favourites, but I'm going to side with Grenadine. Second in Tingle Creek, he's got very decent form as a novice last season. He won his first Grade 2 this season, and he's got race fitness on age. He's got race fitness on his side and age as well. I know he's got the penalty, but I think he's the one beat. And I think if the jockeys are to use their head, I think they could easily get Champ beat.
I'm a huge Grenadine fan, as I've said, for all he's got that penalty to give away. Steve Jones, top of the market or elsewhere?
Sort of elsewhere. I can't get my head round Champ. I just don't see what you achieve by running this horse over 2 miles. He's never looked like a 2 miler. He's done all his racing over 2.5, 3. He beat Emitom in that Grade 1 at Aintree over hurdles a couple of years ago, the novice, over 3 miles. And even when he was running over shorter in over fences, he looked like he wanted 3 miles. And although I don't think he won the RSA Chase last year through stamina, I think the front two, Manila Endo and Alaho, got racing way too far out and he just plodded on. But I don't fancy his jumping. So over 2 miles, I mean, I kind of get what Adele says, but I think Magic Saint is going to go hard. And I think they're going to try and get Champ on his head. And I don't think that's a hard thing to do because I don't think he's a fantastic jumper over 3 miles. So going 2 mile pace, proper championship pace, I just don't see how this is a good prep run. And unless he had huge breathing problems that was affecting everything, which I don't think it can have been, I just don't. I think this is crackers. I've never seen anything like it, and I genuinely can't see how this can end well. I mean, I might be wrong, but Grenadine is a good horse. I don't think he's proven that he's a championship horse yet. The one horse that I think has is So Royal, who was second to Altior in this very race last year. And although Altior might not have been his tip-top best, that's far and away the best form. And like Rixie said earlier, I don't think the ground is going to be particularly soft, especially if there's no more rain. And that'll suit So Royal. And I can see he's always liked a strong pace. So if Magic Stain does go off fast, then I think they'll set it up beautifully for So Royal.
If he reproduces the run behind Altior that he did in this race last year, he'll bolt up. But the only thing is, I wonder is there the lack of pace going to maybe be his undoing, because he always looks like a horse who thrives off a strong pace. But I do love So Royal. I've got a soft spot for him. As we all know, he was so unlucky in the Champion Chase last year, but that's for another day anyway.
I've really enjoyed that preview. I also was laughing halfway through because I remembered being in Newbury press room when Champ was taking on Black Op, and Steve Jones just got up out of his seat and he went, "Stick him in the rails, Johnny."
No, I didn't. Hey, Tom, you should know what goes on in the press room stays in the press room.
And then Barry nearly did. Barry nearly went through.
Well, he was heading for the water jump, head down. I mean, the water jump's been there for about 130 years, I should think. And Barry Geraghty, I don't know, and he just swerved round at the last minute and managed to nail poor old Black Op. But I don't see that happening tomorrow.
Giles
Black Op's not in there, so.
Giles Dexter said the idea is to get Champ into some competitive action and jumping at speed under pressure. I get that. I think the main thing is to get him in a I like the way that Nicky's run him in a 3-mile race already, sort of, so he says. But now he's running him under rules over 2. I think he just wants him to get round, doesn't he? And he doesn't want to take his race out of him, given the distance between this and the Gold Cup, right? That's it. That's why he's running him over shorter.
Yeah.
Do you know when Nicky could have done that? He could have done it in November, December.
Not enough races. Not enough races.
He's clearly had some issue that stopped him running before now. It must have done. Because you don't go to the Gold Cup planning to run in the Game Spirit and then three and a half weeks later running the Gold Cup. You just don't do it. So there's clearly been an issue. He's had his breathing done, but to start off over 2 miles, I just don't see what it achieves.
Let's kick on. Giles, thanks very much for that. Let's kick on to the Betfair Hurdle. Again, a good difference of opinions, I think, in that contest. Enjoyed that. 3:35 is the feature handicap of the weekend, and a really good handicap hurdle it is. I'm not going to read out all the prices because it's a big field, so let's just kick off with who you fancy and why. Steve Jones in the Betfair Hurdle.
My champion hurdle bet is in here, Edwardstone. Unfortunately, he's not in the champion hurdle anymore. but I've always thought this would be the race for him, because I always thought last season he was a little bit unlucky in that he wants better ground than he got last season, and he still managed to run well. He was beating the likes of Fiddler on the Roof and Harry Senior, and he didn't run at all badly in the Supreme by Mshishkin when the ground was too soft. And this year he's tried fences, but that was on heavy ground. And he tried going up to Market Raisin last time when I thought the ground again would just be against him in a small field. And he absolutely bolted up. And I think that the fact that he's only been nudged up £5 for that, I think he got away with that. I think this is a really, really serious horse. And although I'm wary of the horses lower down the weights, because this is often won by a novice, so that brings in the likes of Soaring Glory and Kadzand. But I just think this is a really good horse. And off 146, I think he's still well handicapped. I think as long as it doesn't get really sloppy, he's got a great chance. Really good chance.
I think he's a good shout. 14.0 for Edwardstone. As you say, you always thought this was the race for him, which is why you backed him for the champion hurdle. Thanks to Ronnie for getting in touch on Twitter. Give my wee man a mention. Is in your horse, Wild Max. So thanks for that. Wild Max, who's 26.0, Angus Chalida and Paul Nichols combining. Good luck to him. Go on then, Rixie, Betfair Hurdle.
Look, I think this is going to be a proper 2-mile cavalry charge here. There looks to be any amount of pace you want on Gumball, Friend or Fro, For Pleasure, Highway 102, Shake 'em Up Harry, Annual Invictus, Balanisker. There's an awful lot of pace in here. So look,
can I come back at you just on that, Rixie? Stop you mid stride, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
it's so often run by a front runner in recent years, or up with a pace, because there's often a full start and a standing start. But are we done away from that now, or are we? Is that still how we're operating?
Yeah. So thankfully, someone at the BHA saw sense. And what happens now if they break the tape or there's a false start, they get another go.
So I think that could change it up a bit. I like that, and I think that's so. I think it's really worth respecting that pace. Sorry, go on. I'll stop you mid-stream.
Well, the start that we had in this race last year was an absolute disgrace. You know, it was an absolute joke. But look, the BHA have done something good here, and they've changed the rule. But yeah, look, looks like there's going to be a lot of pace on here, and I do think that's going to suit one horse here, and that's Gallis Maculo. The horse of Jane Williams's. Chester Williams is going to ride, taking £5 off. She's by that wonderful sire, Saddler Maker. She just looks like a filly who could really, really thrive in this kind of environment. She ran very well behind Benson 2 starts ago at Sandown, when I thought she shaped by far and away the best horse in the race. Combination of maybe chasing a good gallop, a stiff track on soft ground, and maybe being put in the race a little bit too early. That all took its toll late. So I think she was better than that. She went last time to Sandown again, where she ran in the grade 1 behind Metier, which was the Tolworth Hurdle, but she was just way too keen again. And Chester Williams, I think it was Chester Roder at that day, you know, he jumped her out there second or third with no cover. You know, he's got to be brave here and put this filly, bury her away in midfield and get some cover and just leave the pace of the race, do the rest, and, you know, ride her with massive cojones, Jamie Spencer kind of style. So that's what I'm looking for. The other horse I'll give a shout to here is Night Edition. I was interested in him when he ran the last day at Ascot behind the horse of Hughie Morrison's, but it was his first run of the season, and I knew my fate well before the race because he was any price you wanted on the exchanges. So, you know, trained by a shrewd camp in the Pipe Yard, ran very well last year, and in the Boodles at the Cheltenham Festival. Still a young horse, you know, if he's been kind of laid out for this race and there's more money for him, I think he's interesting. I think he's about 50 to 1. So I don't know what price. There's actually been a little bit of money for him around. So I just thought that was interesting. So I don't know what price he is on the exchange with you guys, but look, there's two massive price darts against this field.
Yeah, mid-50s, and you want to wait for that to take shape because you might get a little bit more on the exchange. And 26.0 for Gallis Macalo. And Ronnie says, wild match each way. Good luck. So those are the prices. Big price for Declan. Adele, what about you? Top of the market or bigger?
No, bigger. Given the generous place terms on offer, I'm going to be looking at Guard Your Dreams, who represents Nigel Christen-Davies, who probably has the best recent record, I suppose you could say. He's won 3 of the last 7 runnings. I thought he showed tremendous courage winning at Sandown last month. The friend or foe, I'm not sure if he goes in that race, if he goes to Wincanton or not, but they pulled well clear of the rest of them. And as Rich has already said, there's going to be so much pace on, which will suit his kind of impatient tendencies. And just given the place market, I think you're mad not to stick down with the higher priced ones and play the place market. I think he's a big price, isn't he? Must be his double figures at least, maybe 16s.
Oh yeah, no, he's more. He's you can get 26.0 again, and as you say, he's in the Kingwell, so he's doubly entered. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with Friend or Foe. Is a big old price as well, so a fair few big prices there. The other thing I wanted to add to Rixie's comments on Gallis Macalo is Chester couldn't claim last time and now can claim his 5, so that could be another positive as well. Fair few big prices in that contest. I hope we nail them, and then we'll give a good old plug on Twitter to whoever nails it. But fingers crossed. If not, we'll just go quiet. That's how it works. Anything else to add to this? Happy?
Fire away.
Good stuff. Right, let's kick on to Tiger Roll's reappearance in the Boyne Hurdle on Sunday. Go on, Rixie, just Irish angle-wise, Tiger Roll. Whether he's a bet for this, I don't know. He's a fair price because of how he's being campaigned. And just an eye on the National as well, whether sort of how was favourite for the National, whether or not you'd be looking at taking an anti-post price for him in that or just sit it out.
Look, I think you just got to sit it out here. This is, I've no doubt in my mind, this is going to be a prep race building to the cross country chase at the Cheltenham Festival. You know, at the moment, I think the ground is soft to heavy in places on the hurdle track. You know, Tiger Roll has always been a horse who's kind of thrived on better ground in my eyes. So obviously he's been a little bit disappointing in his last few runs. But look, you know, that's what winning 2 nationals does to you. You know, he's entitled to, and he's probably, the way Gordon's training him as well, he's probably, you know, really he's trying to build them slowly to 2 days every year, the cross country and then the Grand National. I think in terms of the Grand National being called off last year, I think it might have been a plus for him, because you just got the feeling he wasn't in the same form going to Aintree last year than he was the couple of years before. Obviously, he's a year older again now as well, which isn't ideal, because obviously Father Time catches up with everyone. But no, I think a watching brief here and just see how he gets on. I'm sure Keith Dunne was going to look after him here, and you know, it's going to be a building block towards the cross country chase at the festival.
He's 11.0, as is Durasso, 7.5 for Six Shooter, 6.0 Beacon Edge, and then French Dynamite 4.0 and 3.0 for Fury Road for Gordon Elliott and Jack Kennedy. Adele, where are you looking in this if you have a play?
I am going to play at a bigger price. I'm going to go for Six Shooter, who's been placed in a couple of graded races. You could probably play him at the place market as well. I presume he's maybe around about 7s. He's already finished in front of a couple of these in the race, and obviously just finished just behind French Dynamite. I think 3 miles maybe just stretched stamina last time out. So I think the step down in trip. He's still young. He still looks quite raw. He still looks like he might have a little bit more to offer. And I'm just going to stick with one that I think I could play at the place market.
Yeah, certainly can.
7.5 last year. So, you never know in these races.
And Noel Mead's having just a really good season. He started it really well, and he's continued that form for all. It's gone off a little bit as the big guns have come out in Ireland. What about you, Jonesy? You having a go in this race?
I just hope that Tiger Roll runs well and we don't see him tailing off and then pull the plug, because you just pray that he gets to Aintree, really. That's the thing. If he gets over the Boyne Hurdle and then gets over the next step in at Cheltenham, I think everyone would be happy just to see him line up at Aintree. Obviously, I don't see him as a bet on Sunday. I thought French Dynamite had a chance, might just pop off in front and be quite hard to pass. He's tried 3 miles last time, but that didn't really work out. I think he's a better horse around this trip, making the running. And hopefully give Mouse Morris a decent thing. I was doing some work on the Dublin Racing Festival, going through the results, and Mouse Morris obviously had a few horses run well there. And the interesting thing was he's had Cheltenham Festival winners in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. And apart from Nicky Henderson, I couldn't think of anyone else who'd done that. So really hope that he has some live chances to go to Cheltenham, because he's got some promising, nice young horses, and hopefully French Dynamite might be one of them.
Yeah.
The only problem with giving Mouse good horses is the pressure goes through the roof when he starts eating cigarettes every day. You know, you've got to balance it. You know, you kind of give him good horses, but not too good.
I love it. He got a horse that hadn't ever won over fences to win a national. You know, as you do. French Dynamite.
Good trainer, Morris. I do like, you know, when you give him a good horse, he's highly capable. As Jonesy's little stat there just suggested, and he seems like a nice fellow, Mouse, as well. He's good character.
Who do you like, Deck?
I'm with Jonesy in this. I like French Dynamite. I think at the prices and at the given the conditions of the weights of the race, he gets weight off Fury Road. I think it's £3. He's a lovely kind of leggy raw horse to me, and I think he's just going to improve with time. And I think this lad, he could be one maybe for a Marsh or an RSA next year, because I think another year on his back, he's going to be even better, to be honest. So yeah, it didn't look like there was a whole lot of pace in the race either. So Rachel Blackmore might be able to bounce them out there early and kind of set her own fractions. And I just think time is going to be this horse's friend. He just looks very raw and green and a bit of a shell of a horse. So he hasn't run now since the Christmas hurdle at Leopardstown, where again he ran well, given that he had a wide trip in places, and he just kind of shaped like the 3 mile trip, even though it wasn't a strong gallop throughout. It just stretched him a little bit. So the drop in trip, I think, is going to be a positive to him as well. So yeah, French Dynamite for me.
Couple shouting for French Dynamite then. So that's the Boyne Hurdle. Those are our 4 on Sunday, and it's now time for Sunday Best Bets. You can go anywhere you like, be it the races we've already previewed, or if you want to go elsewhere for a bit of fun. Steve Jones, kick us off. Your Sunday Best Bet, sir.
Edwardstone. I've got to stick with him. He was my horse to follow this year, and even though he's cost me money in the Champion Hurdle, maybe he'd be supplemented. Go on, Kingy. Go on, Kingy.
Joe, there's a shout. If he wins this, supplement for the Champion Hurdle, wins the Champion Hurdle, Steve Jones will tour the Cotswolds just so he can get on Matchbook and lay off his stake. Yeah, exactly. Well saved, Rixie. Very good.
That was a save of all time.
That was fantastic. Your best bet, Declan. Your best bet.
I'll take French Dynamite, please.
Okay.
So, yeah, I could see Sully in the background was there, had the buzzer ready for me the minute I mentioned that. So yeah, I've learned.
Yeah, Declan has been removed from the chat. 5.0 for French Dynamite. And Adele, your Sunday best bet.
Hate taking Jonesy on, but I'm going with Guard Your Dreams.
Oh, I love it. I spoke to Sam Tristan Davis at Kempton when he rode a Jumpers Bumper winner, and he was very positive about Guard Your Dreams. Right profile, everything. So there you go. Guard Your Dreams in that feature handicap hurdle. That is Sunday done. Now, don't forget, we've got the Matchbook sign-up offer. That is ongoing. It hasn't changed at all. It is for new customers only. It's the Bet 10, Get 10 offer. You need to place a qualifying bet of £10 or more at an odds of 2.0 or more, and you will get 10 back to you. That is the Bet 10, Get 10 offer, the same that's been ongoing for a little while now. For new customers only, 18 plus, be gamble aware. Saturday, because we've done Sunday, so we go back in time to Saturday and the Reynolds Town Novices Chase. I don't know why I love this race. I'm such a fan of this contest. I don't know whether it comes a bit too close to Cheltenham. I don't know, but there have been some top winners of it in the past. Look, we've got the 6 here, but I suppose it's an open enough race for the Reynolds Town. I'm waiting for odds to load, so I'm going to let Adele kick us off with this, and then I'll tell you prices. Go on. Where are you looking in the Reynolds Town, Adele, and why?
Oh, I did find this a little bit tricky. Severano, not quite sure about the trip, so I've actually gone for Fullback, who I followed a little bit this season. Still showing little signs of greenness, so I thought he might still have a little bit in hand. He stays well on soft ground. I know he's won a couple of small fields this season, but since he stepped up in trip, but he's still likely race this season. I think there still could be more to come with him. He stays further than 3 miles. He won at Plumpton over 3 miles and 1.5 furlongs, so I'm going to stick with him. Like I said, he's still showing a little bit of greenness, so I'm thinking he still might have plenty in hand. And
I'm where I am now, out in Saudi with Hayley Moore, who's also here. Had a good chat with her about Goshen and Fullback, and she was very positive about Fullback. They think he's a really, really nice horse. So I'm a huge fan of his anyway. I'd rather have him on side than Severano. I'll have those odds for you very shortly, I promise. Rixie?
I was stuck here between two. The machine I like, and I also liked Fullback as well. Severano, I agree with Adele. This may not be his trip. An Ascot on soft ground is not really a track to be trying to trip for the first time. Remastered, I think he could be an intermediate trip horse as well. Kaluki, I like. He's clearly a horse with a lot of talent. He's got a big engine, but he just jumps left far too many times. I'm surprised they're running him right-handed again, to be honest, because Even at Newbury, when he ran there a couple of times this season, he was jumping left. He jumped left all the way at Kempton the last time as well, and they're coming back having another go. Hurricane Harvey, I like. He's a really likeable horse. Travels well, jumps well, has got a good attitude, but he's got to carry a penalty. So I was stuck between the machine and fullback, and I was really, really taken with the machine when he won a handicap over this course and distance on his penultimate start here. I just thought the way he travelled and the way he jumped, he just looked like a really, really progressive horse for the Kerry Lee team. He disappointed then at Newbury the last time. He still ran well, but I was disappointed with him now, to be honest. I think he's better than that. And maybe it was his breathing, because he's had a breathing up, so he's coming here on the back of that now. And I'm hoping that might work the oracle. Like I said, I like fullback, and I just wonder about his jumping now that he's kind of going up in class, and he does tend to jump a little bit left as well. So, that's not going to be ideal. So basically, I had it down between the two of those, and I just stuck with the horse with the course form. So I'm not giving up on the machine, and I'm hoping he can get the job done tomorrow.
Severano.
Saturday, yeah, sorry.
Severano is 4.0. I've got these up for you now. 4.5 for Dim Machine. 5 points. It's such an open Reynoldstown. 5.0 for fullback, as is remastered. 8.0 and 8.5 for the bottom two, Kaluki and Hurricane Harvey. Steve Jones.
Yeah, interesting betting race. And there's horses in there like fullback and remastered who have got some wins. You can pick the form to pieces quite easily, but the style of their wins has been good. So it's an interesting race, because Severano, again, like Adele said, I'm not confident of that horse staying, and I think they're going to go a decent gallop. Although Kaluki does jump left, I think he'll be making the running. Remastered and fullback won't be far away, and I think they're going to set it up for Hurricane Harvey, who I can't quite believe is the outsider of the field. And I don't understand why, because his hurdles form was very good. He had form behind the likes of McFabulous, and then he's taken well to fences. First time up, he beats Emmy Tom over 2.5, which 2.5 is way too short for Hurricane Harvey, as he showed last time at Doncaster when he ground out a nice win. Because of that Grade 2 win at Doncaster, he gets a penalty, which isn't ideal. Connor Brace, I think this will be... He couldn't claim anyway, but he rode his claim out this week. So I think it'd be his first ride without a claim, even though he was never going to claim. If that makes any sense, I'm not sure it does. But he's a good jockey, Connor Brace, and Fergal's still in great form. He's been banging in the winners all season. And Hurricane Harvey is an out-and-out stayer for me. He'll have the race run to suit. And I think even though he's got to give the rest £5, I think he's up to the job.
Outside of the field for Steve Jones in the Reynoldstown, the 150 at Ascot. Move on to the next contest that we're going to be previewing. And this is the Rendlesham Hurdle, the 205 at Haydock. We might not be having heavy ground at Haydock. Stand by.
Oh, what's new?
Stand by. It might not be heavy. It might just be soft. It might not be bottomless.
There'll be water in them. They always water up there.
He probably will have.
He's got the can out as we speak. A little flashlight on it.
Listen, he's Kirkland Tellwright is an avid watcher of the Match for Betting podcast, so we need to be nice to him.
Good bloke.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan, to be honest.
Yeah, me. Yeah, I mean, he's not. I wouldn't. Oh, he might be. Who knows? But this is 3 mile half furlong. It's going to be a test, isn't it? Itchy Feet is 4.5, as he's on the blind side. He's been in the winner's enclosure for a few of you so far this season, and I think it was Rixie that found him at a big price earlier on. Emmy Tom, who we've spoken about already, is 5.0, third win 7.0, 7.5 for Main Fact. This Nagar Oscar, the current holder of the Stairs Hurdle, is 8.5, then into the bigger prices. Guys, an open Rendlesham as well. I like it. Adele, go on, take it away. Where are you looking?
Well, I tipped on the blind side to outrun his odds in the Rel Kill, so I'm going to stick with him. He was also my £20 bet on ITV as well. So, I mean, he's in great form this season, and I thought he showed a very gutsy attitude when he was toe-to-toe with Little Rockefeller, and you just seem to be getting such a run for your money this season. I think, well, I can't see why he wouldn't give another good account for himself. And he shows plenty at the finish, which is what you need for somewhere like Haydock, especially if it is softer than what he's got it advertised as. So I'd be mad not to go. I'd be mad to go against him, so I'm going to stick with him.
On the blind side, he's just had such a good season. Back to a sort of race, 153 now, back over hurdles, and seems to love the smaller obstacles. Jonesy, what about you?
I think this is another race that has been priced up wrong. I cannot, for the life of me, understand why Itchy Feet is favourite. I know he hasn't been jumping very well over hurdles, but he's never looked like a stayer to me, and they're going to have to stay in this race. And there's enough pace in here with Donna's Diamond, the lights, to make sure they go. And for me, he is only running in this race as a tester for Cheltenham. They obviously want to run this horse at Cheltenham. Well, it seems Fences is off the menu. He's not got the speed for a champion hurdle. So all you're left with is the stayers hurdler. And I think they're just spinning one down to see if he stays. And I don't think he will. And the other thing is, especially in soft ground at Haydock, you want to be up with the pace at Haydock. You certainly don't want to be out the back. If they ride him like that, I don't think they got any chance. Especially when I think there's some live horses in here. I like On the Blind Side. I think he's very solid. He put in a really good performance at Market Raisin under when the weights sort of favoured him, but it was still a solid effort to beat Little Rockefeller. He's had some hard races this season. He is a tough horse, but he has had some hard races, and that puts me up a little bit. The one I like is last year's winner, Emitom. He's been over fences. He didn't do anything wrong against Hurricane Harvey, and I didn't think he was particularly suited making the running at Foss last when he was last to 3 to If the Cap Fits and Fiddler on the Roof. He's not been since October. I don't think that's a bad thing, because Warren Greatrex's horses weren't in particularly great form early in the season. They're in a lot better form now. And you go back to his hurdles form. He was second to champ in the Aintree Grade 1 Novice Hurdle that we spoke about earlier. He came back last season, won this very race very impressively, and then ran a really sound race at Cheltenham in the Stayers when he was fourth behind Listener Oscar. Now, that might point you to Listener Oscar, but he's a very hard horse to pin down, because he's not easy to predict. And on the balance of his form this year, he's not going to win, is he? And if Emitom is anywhere near his peak, I think he's a great bet in this. Is he third favourite or something? And I don't think. I think On the Blind Side should be favourite. I think Emitom shouldn't be far behind him, and I think Itchy Feet should be twice the price he is.
5.0 for Emitom. I suppose that Itchy Feet's getting weight from horses he's rated superior. Then I suppose that's the angle for him. But I take the point.
Weight doesn't make you stay.
Stanley is twitching because you're slagging his mate Ollie Murphy's horse. Can't do that.
Yeah, and
he was twitching all the time you were talking there. He was fuming.
This horse is named after a Victorian engineer's medical condition.
Unbelievable.
True story.
Phil Brothers athlete's foot.
He had loads of foot powder.
He's having a go at Itchy Feet. Yeah, Jones. Yeah, I know. Just down the road. Yeah, I'll give you his address. Unbelievable.
You can't get the Wi-Fi to work in Saudi. You've got no chance of ringing Warwickshire.
We got through it. So I've never sat so still during a broadcast. Giles says the Rendlesham looks horrendously trappy and there is no value anywhere. Well, look, it's fine to say that if you think it's priced up accordingly and it's priced up perfectly. Maybe you think it's a spot-on book, and that's fine. Can you find any value, Rixie?
No, I agree. This looks a really trappy race. I'm loving Jonesy's reckless abandon for the penalty system in the UK at the moment, because he's putting up lots of horses with penalties today. I do like Emitom, but the penalties a worry. Liz Nagar Oscar, he's got his ground and he's coming on the back here of a wind up as well. On the blind side, he's having a good season. He's carrying a penalty as well. But is he really this class? Ballyoptics 11 now. Donna's Diamond is 12. I've got to say, I'm delighted they've gone back hurling with Itchy Feet. I'm a fan of this horse. I think he's got a pretty big engine. I'm only saying this now so I can get back on the next pod just to keep Stanley happy. But I do like it, Chiefy. I just think he couldn't jump fences. You know, even I know he was a Grade 1 novice chasing winner last year, but I think that was just pure ability getting him through. And the other thing with him is I've always had him down as a decent ground horse. He's such a beautiful mover. You know, wasn't too long ago was he third in the Supreme behind? I know it wasn't one of the best Supremes in the world behind Classical Dream, but you know he is a good horse, and I think going up to 3 miles could bring out a bit of improvement, but whether he wants this ground is another thing. So the way I was thinking of playing the race was maybe going with third wind in the place market. There's 8 runners there. Hopefully they all stay in. Little bit of a shitty arse bet, but it's excuse the Irish terminology there. It's a trappy race. So yeah, that's the way I'm going to play this race, third wind.
Okay. You mentioned that Supreme. Ollie Murphy trained the second and the third. In that
take that, Jonesy.
Good stuff. Let's move on to another trappy little hurdle, but I'm really looking forward to the 318 from Wincanton, which is the Kingwell Hurdle, mainly because it's the return of Goshen. Song for someone who plenty on the pod have got right so far. Jonesy's talked a lot about this horse. Heads the betting, currently at 2.14. Goshen is 3.5. Navajo Pass 5.0, and then into the double figures. Steve, I'm going to come straight back to you. God, there's a lot of pace on here. But have you got something you fancy?
Well, I just think Song for Someone wins, doesn't he? He's been exceptional this year, and he's been exceptional throughout his career, really. When you go back in his last 2 defeats, one was at Sandown in a handicap when he ran perfectly well. The other time he was second to Thomas Derby in an Ascot handicap. And since then, he won this race last year when it was run at Kempton instead of Wincanton that was called off. And then this season, he's been great, and beating Silver Streak in the International Hurdle, apart from Epitone, who's the champion hurdle, that's about the best British hurdles form there is. So I just think that he likes a right-handed flat track, although I suppose he's pretty versatile. But I just think he wins. You cannot possibly back Goshen at the moment. It's clearly something's not been right, because he looked a superstar as a juvenile, and although it is not easy for 4-year-olds to then produce it as 5-year-olds the following season when they're stepping into open races. But he should have run a hell of a lot better in the International. And I know they've said that there has been problems, but you can't be confident that he's over those problems for me. And with a horse that is absolutely thriving like Song for Someone, I just see that it's a straightforward task for him. Navajo Pass, yeah, he beat a Bouvardere last time, but I mean, can you really say that was? You just can't say how strong that form was for me, and I don't see him at the moment having the strength of form of Song for Someone. So although he's short, I think he'll win.
Song for Someone at the top of the betting. Adele, same for you or elsewhere?
No, same for me. I'm just going to kind of echo everything Jones has already said. He's a slick jumper. He's got, the will to win to go with it, and he's very hard to oppose. Goshen still got a bit to prove, hasn't he, this year? I think things just haven't gone right for him at all. I know he had a fibrillating heart at Cheltenham, which he must be over it, because he'd be off longer if it was anything too serious. He's also running at a track which is one of the it's one of the sharpest tracks to run at. Everything's going to come thick and fast. I know there's plenty of pace on, but he's just got something to prove now, hasn't he, to see whether or not they've still got a good horse to go to Cheltenham with. You couldn't really back him.
Just to say, again, I asked Hayley Moore, and she said, I wouldn't be surprised if he went and bolted up.
Yeah,
but I kind of wouldn't be surprised if she like there is still the ability there. When a horse has had 3 defeats like this, I think she's admitting it's so hard to call what Goshen we're going to see. For all he had a fibrillating heart last time, I think he's completely over it. It's just he's out of that winning mentality, and that is a worry. But yeah, I think the price is about right. Go on, Adele.
I don't think he works very well at home either, so I think even they are not quite sure when they go into a race, what kind of form he's in. And then obviously we had a lot of bad weather the week before, so he's missed a little bit of work as well. So when you're backing, you're just going in with an unknown attitude, really.
And I don't think he's the easiest horse to get fit at home, particularly before those flat runs. I don't think they were quite where they wanted him to be, because because he does so much on the bridle at home. I don't think he's the easiest to get ready necessarily. So, and then of course that was really disappointing in the international. Anyway, Declan Ricks.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to have a tentative vote for Goshen here. Just with the penalty structure of the race, I think any horse deserves one more chance. Look, I think a couple of things are in his favour. I think going back right-handed is going to be a massive plus, because anytime he's run at Cheltenham, you can just see Jamie Moore swinging off his left rein, just trying to keep him to run straight. And, I think just going this way around is going to be a big plus. I have a funny feeling here. They're going to just bounce him out and let him be the most biggest ignorant horse that ever run, and just leave him do what he wants, and they're going to find out everything about him tomorrow. I think anything that tries to live with him, good luck. I just think he's worth one more chance. There's a couple of things. It's probably worth mentioning as well, on Lydia Hislop's show last week on the road to Cheltenham. She reported that Gary Moore's vet had said to her that there's actually been no heart problem. They thought there was an issue there, but there was nothing there. So, given how keen he was and how fresh he was, first run of the season, up in class, going left-handed, all that kind of stuff, I think you can forgive him one more run. But he's going to get back on heavy ground, going right-handed, and I think they're just going to bounce him out. He was there was a good bit of money for him before the international, I think. He's obviously still showing someone something somewhere. So I think he's worth one more go. Look, I could have total leg on my face, but I'm interested. Hayley Moore seemed a little bit warm on him there as well. So look, we'll see. Tomorrow is D-Day for Goshen, so I'll give him a little tentative vote. And you might get a bigger price, because I have a funny feeling a lot of people will be out to get him. But I just think with him getting £6 off the likes of Song for Someone, who I think this test is going to be sharp enough for, I think it could be a sharp enough test as well for Navajo. Pass. Bugger it. Go on, Goshen.
I feel like I'm watching this one as a fan, right? Because I'm not giving, as you can tell, I'm not giving any input into the bets. I'm with you. Having watched that, I feel like it was like the closing statement at a case in court, and I'm like, I'm sort of mopping my eyes like you've just done the Tom Cruise, like, and I'm like,
I hope to God I'm not up in court when you're on jury service. if Rixie can sway you, we'll be.
I totally agree.
No, I feel like you're not. There's not going to be another chance to back Goshen like this. Second in the betting, and you're right. They're not going to leave anything out there, are they? They're not going to save him for anything. This is suck it and see time. They got to get out there, let him bowl along. I'm sold. Right, let's move on. I love it.
I think tomorrow could be an absolute beautiful display of just pure ignorant galloping. And then he's got that mad Jamie Moore on top of him, he's as mad as the horse sometimes. So it could just be an absolute thing of beauty tomorrow. So we'll see. Stanley has packed it in, has he? He's back. Oh, he's gone.
He's gone. So I think we're moving on to the Ascot Chase now, our final race, 3:35. And it's the big race of the day, the Grade 1, which obviously revolves around what used to be the highest rated horse in Britain. I think he's now the joint highest rated horse in Britain. And talking of the joint highest rated presenter in Britain, Tom Stanley.
He's not
going to say anything. So, Adele.
It's because I got so excited.
Oh.
Am I with you, ladies and gentlemen? Am I? Yeah. I got so excited about Declan's closing statement. I hit my computer and that was it. Like you were in full flow. Go on, Steve Jones. Then the Ascot Chase, surname odds on with him or elsewhere.
I want to be against him because I think, for all his brilliance, I think he is quite soft, and I think he showed that at Kempton. Although I don't think he truly stays 3 miles, he conned me in the Charlie Hall, because he cruised through the Charlie Hall around going left-handed at Wetherby, which it was meant to be not his ideal conditions, but he beat Vindication and I Right, who are both pretty strong stayers. But I just thought the tank was empty in the closing stages, and at Kempton he didn't get his own way. Frodon went from the front, he got messed around, he was too far back, and he just dropped the lot for me. And the cheap pieces going on say it all. If they work, then he's got the class. There's no doubt about that. But there's not going to be any hanging around in this race. Benny's King goes from the front. Dashel Drasher, if he runs, I know he's got the option on Sunday as well. He's a horse that's thriving, that jumps well, is very straightforward, and is tough. If he goes from the front, and Master Tommy Tucker goes from the front. So I think Surname will have to sit in behind them. I don't think he wants to get involved in that. And I think this is a good chance for Dashel Drasher to show what he's made of. He deserves this. He won the same race at Ascot last time, over course and distance, the same handicap that Surname won 2 years ago before he won this very race, that sort of burst him onto the scene as the highest rated chaser in the country above Altior, which it was probably got a little bit carried away, but he's a class horse. But Dashel Drasher can take that step up as well. He's 3 from 3 at Ascot. He likes to gallop on soft ground, and he jumps well, and he's going to be very hard to pass if the other horses don't match him in the jumping stakes. And I think he's an improving horse, and Jeremy Scott's always a trainer I like, so I really hope he runs well and wins.
At a fair price, I think, 7.0. Adele.
I'm a little bit like Jonesy, you know. Like, you do want to see Surname run well. You do want to see him, you know, get back to form. But when you see them put the cheap pieces on, they're openly admitted that there's a chink there with him. He didn't actually really want to jump off, you know, in the King George, because he was hesitant. And I don't know, it just didn't look right. You know, he's obviously going a little bit soft now. He's in his older age, and you can see why they have gone for the cheap pieces. But I think if any horse is going to take him out of his depths, I think it'll be Dashel Drasher. I do. I think he'll be the one that might just take him out of his comfort zone, and I think he could just outstay him.
That's a couple for the draw. I think it's a really good point about Surname as well, that he'd almost switched off so much after Wetherby that all of a sudden he looked like a different horse at Kempton, certainly at the start. Rixie.
Oh, I would love it, absolutely love it if Surname won this. Shut up, all those stupid fans who say he's not a good horse. What a bunch of muppets they are.
Declan
Fair enough, he's not really that consistent, but when this horse is good, he is good. He is an absolute monster at his best. I don't care what anyone says. Look, I get it. He's probably not got the robust kind of physical nature of an Altior to keep running and breaking the clock every time he runs big and wins big. You know, he just hasn't got the frame, I think, to keep doing that, and he's probably best fresh. So look, I would love it if he wins tomorrow. I adore this horse. I just hate the respect that he hasn't got off racing fans. But I just can't back him. I really can't. If it was better ground, I would be interested, because for me, he's a much better horse on better ground. You know, it's going to be proper soft at Ascot tomorrow. So look, I'm happy to stay away from him. And look, I'm going to take a bit of a wild swing in this race with Riders of the Storm. He's only an 8-year-old. He hasn't been in great order this year, but you know, he's only had 2 runs. Each run he's actually got a little bit better. And if you go back and stop the tape 3 out at Kempton the last time behind Master Tommy Tucker, he was only a couple of lengths behind him, and he quickened past the second horse before he just kind of flatlined. You know, the petrol ran out. Maybe he has a problem, or maybe, you know, he hasn't been easy to train this year, and he needed the run badly. I just think this race sets up well for him if he bounces back to his best. And he's a big price. There's, as the lads have said there, you know, Benny's King, Surname, Dashel Drasher, Master Tommy Tucker, you know, they all like to go forward. Sam Twiston Davis can just sit out the back, mind his own business, leave all of these, take each other apart and maybe pick up the pieces late. And look, if Surname is not at his best for whatever reason, This horse on his best form is the second best horse in the race. So, look, you're putting your faith in the Twiston Davies team, getting him back to form, but you're getting a price about him. So I don't know. He's probably about 20-1 there. So he'll do for me.
Yeah, 21.0. I backed him last time. He's very much outside of the field. That's us. That's us done. We need to move on to Saturday best bets. So who is your best bet for Saturday afternoon's action? Adele Mulrennan.
I'm sticking with my ever so consistent. He hasn't let me down so far this season on the blind side.
On the blind side. Like it. Declan Ricks, you're going for Goshen. Great. And Steve, I'm joking. Rixie, you might be. Who's your best bet?
I'm tempted, but in terms of a best bet to get a winner on the board, I think Third Wind in the place market is hopefully pretty sound. So I'll go with him at Haydock.
Third Wind in that place market for Rixie. And Steve Jones.
I'm taking Adele on again because I think Emmy Tom. I'm going to have to just hit the prices. I think Emmy Tom.
I'm going to regret it. I had him on my shop as well. I couldn't decide between the two, so I'm going to have to see.
You see, he didn't like it on Sunday that you took him on, Adele. So that's what Jonesy's like. He holds a grudge. And my best bet is Ollie Murphy. Thanks. Hey.
Your best bet is to make it out of Saudi alive, son.
Oh.
What odds is that, Tom?
Tell you what, it is odds against. Right. Thanks very much, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed it all. And don't forget, in the Smart Betting Club Awards, we'd love you to vote for us if you want to, and if you do like our content, for Best Betting Podcast. Adele, thank you.
Thank you.
Declan, thanks ever so much.
Cheers, mate.
Jonesy, top man, thank you very much indeed. Good luck, guys. Thanks for joining us this week. Good luck wherever you're playing. Bye-bye for now.